Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my garden. And we're back in this container garden for a reason. And well, to be honest, this space just isn't working for me. We've got areas that are underutilized, areas that need shifting, plants that are not completely happy where they are. So I think I'm just going to reset this space and try and make it work a little bit better. I have this eggplant here on the table that's overripe, and I'm going to put it in our worm container. So this is our DIY worm tower. I do have previous videos to show you how that works. I can put a link for them above, but I just want to show you, since our last harvest of compost out here, how our worms are doing. So this is the inside of the tub, and I've only been adding, haven't removed anything, and as you can see, there's a mix of things. There's flowers, there's vegetables. So if you come along and remove these scraps over, you find the next layer of beans and some corn husks, some mealy skins, and there we have some worms even. So they are slowly breaking this down. I'm not even going to cut it up. I'm just going to put it in there, put the paper on, lid. I am leaving it slightly ajar just so that the worms can breathe a little bit. Since this portion of the garden over here is going to remain largely the same, I'm pretty sure these containers will as well. I am just going to take the table and let it stand here in the interim. So you can see what we have in this space. So I think I'm going to start by moving some of these things here. Like, for instance, I know I've got a cabbage and a Brussels sprout in these two containers over here, and I'd prefer that they get more sun, so I will be putting those there. We are going to attempt to overwinter this jalapeno. So moving it to the sunnier spot is not going to do it any harm. But then in front of it here, I plan on putting the Brussels sprouts and the cabbage plants that I've planted out already. I'm going to put the Brussels sprouts against the wall this side so that it's not casting shadow on anything, and it has the opportunity to grow upright without shielding anything else. Cabbage. The other Brussels sprouts. I think what I'm going to do is put a long container here without actually interfering with the gate. And I'll possibly do the same thing over here as well, just to give it more balance, and then we'll fill in and see if we want this to become more of a semicircular shape coming out, just so that it's full, much like this corner was, just with the things that have higher light requirements. I'm going to take this purple container from here. There was a basil in here. It's practically dead, and while there is a tomato plant in here, she is suffering. So I think what I'll do is I'll harvest all the tomatoes off of this plant, put them one side, and then just come along and cut the stalks off at the soil level, and we'll move this container over. So now hopefully we can plant something else into this container and it'll have a little bit more success. I think for this area, I am leaving the mulberry tree where it is. I'm going to shift this green container here and the other green container from across the space over here to this area, so there's a bit of a balance in the pattern with a long purple and a long green and then a long purple and a long green. So far, this is what we've got. We've got some chilies down here by me. We've got 2 empty containers with the potential to be filled. We've got some of our brassicas now with more sunlight, and our jalapeno that we're trying to overwinter in the corner. Then along here, I've actually put 2 of these longer containers. This one is currently empty, which is fine because that gives us potential to grow something. And then this one had herbs in, and it liked the area it was in, so there's no point in really changing that all that much. I am, however, going to come around and add a few more chive seeds into this container, and we'll see if they come up, because you can't have too many chives. I am going to leave the mulberry tree, and this is empty, so we can add some to here. We could probably add something else to this container with the verbena, but for the most part, the layout is looking good. I have these 2 containers that I am just going to bring into this area slightly, and then that'll close off that one. And we have the border of this area at least sorted. Now we can tackle this. Okay, so these seeds have been somewhat neglected, but in all honesty, I think we can right our wrongs here a little bit. So I have a couple of haphazard moments here and things that I can transplant out, and we can try and give them better opportunities. Then I have trays like this where I have 1 or 2 that have come up, but the entire tray is not necessarily full, or areas where the rain planted new things or I planted things and there's only singular plants. So what I want to do is I want to combine those into one tray. So over here, I have a scarlet kale in this cell. It's the only one that had anything in it. I'm going to remove those cells and then fill the others with their correct cell and label. So this one I'm just squeezing out, putting in this little cell over here, and that is a dino kale. These 2 are lettuce again, so I'm going to plant them out with the others. Okay, so this is our current working seed tray. It's a lot smaller, it's a little bit easier to manage, and it'll allow them to get the attention they need, hopefully to grow a bit more so that they can go into the garden soon. They may have been stunted, and that's unfortunate, but it does happen. We're just going to leave it and see how things progress. These are going in the garden and in the container, so they're for planting it with them here. In this area, I'm swinging big. I'm going to plant some parsley in this far container, some mustard greens in the spinach container, and 1 or 2 lettuces in this gap over here. So I'm going to start with my mustard greens. So for instance, with these, I only ended up with 1 seedling per cell, with the exception of the cell here where there are 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out 3, 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to plant them into this container. I think I might just plant these remaining 2 cells in this container and call it good. So for this red lettuce, my intention is to plant them into the terracotta containers here against the wall, but they do need soil first. I think we take these last 2 and then plant them down here. So as you can remember, this was the container that had the basil and the tomato. So here's the basil stalk, here's the tomato stem. So there are 3, so I'm going to try and plant them 1 on either end.